and welcome to I say lame intro is lame. But this is Jab Straight Talk with your host. It's just UG82. I'm at CPTIS on Twitter. That's, I guess, CPT is, but I guess without the underscore it's taken. So here we go. And welcome to the first episode. This is Jab Straight Talk. The first of possibly more. We'll see. But I'm where we at? Yeah, I was getting started. The first episode, I was going to introduce myself. Say, hey, I haven't streamed much. I don't do all that. I've been on a couple of streams, but I'm a fat old nerd. I like comic books and movies and stuff like that. And that's what I want to talk about. But I also wanted to stream. I like watching a bunch of the different YouTubers and all that stuff. But I hate it when they get all muddled down in the drama. I hate it when they get on the hate. And so I wanted to do a stream that's cuts past that. Although I hate so much, so I probably won't talk about stuff I hate. But this episode is going to be about stuff I like. And well, I don't know. I was going to say more, but I think this it's probably, I don't want it to run it too long, so I'm not going to blab about myself. I just want to get started onto the show, and I'm going to introduce my guest, Grim. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. How's it going?
Pretty good. How's it going? And Grim, he's on. You can tell him, I guess, your Twitter and Twitch and stuff.
It's all good.
No, it's all good.
I can't even remember the stuff.
I know, right? Well, he streams games. He's fun. Him and his son do stuff. That's good times. And but yeah, tonight I had two topics for today. And the first topic was Grim picked it out: entertainment influences. And because I'm a big fat nerd, and I don't want to call him fat, but he said it earlier. So he's a big fat nerd. We're going to talk about what influenced us. I'm going to start with two movies, and I'll try to track down his. Let's see. I'm going to try to track down pictures of yours when you mention them, but if I can, let's see. And we're going to try to get fancy. But my first two, I have two in one. It's I don't know, probably the biggest movie influence I have. And because it's like my earliest memory, it's like the first movie I remember watching was King Kong, the 1933 version.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was probably like 4 years old. And I stayed up all night. I watched King Kong, Son of Kong, and Mighty Joe Young in a row. And I don't know, I just fell in love with movies. I just like the technical aspect of it and everything. I like how creative it was and just how impressive King Kong was. And it was scary because it was violent as I don't know what. Because he's when they first get to the island, he's like stepping on the villagers and he like eats them. So I was like, whoa! And I was just like impressed. I was like, people can make this stuff, and I just thought that was cool. And King Kong, I guess, opened my eyes to how just awesome movies can be. And then I didn't even put my picture up. Well, I'll just do the next one. And the next one is. There we go. You see the picture?
No.
I tried it. Let's try this. And this. Oh, well. That's not going to work. But the next one is Star Wars, of course.
Okay.
The 1977 Star Wars. And, before I move, I spoiled it. Are you a fan of King Kong?
I mean, I don't mind it, but I can't say that I fanboy out on it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. It's old as crap. But and Star Wars, are you a fan of Star Wars?
No. I didn't mind the first three, but I watched The Phantom Menace in theaters, and I never watched another one after that.
I've seen them all in the theater except for Solo and the last one. after the Last Jedi, I couldn't do it. But the 1977 Star Wars was incredible. And as a kid, I don't know, the first hour and a half of the movie's awesome as a kid, but the trench run at the end is what got me when they're running in to destroy the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, they fail the first time is just the tension of that scene. And again, I think it was the same thing as King Kong because it's just how technically impressive it was. Like watching that as a kid, you're like, how did they film this? And and then you're taken into the largeness of the world and all that. And it's, yeah, but movie, and for a while I wanted to make movies, but and because of King Kong and Star Wars, so those are my two early big influences.
So was Star Wars one of the first movies with, you know, like the space battles and things like that was technically well done?
As well done as that. I mean, that was movies. I mean, you could have, like, as far as space, I think 2001: A Space Odyssey, I think that came out in like 68, late 60s. So that was way before. And that had incredible special effects, but didn't have space battles. So it's just like people in space. And the planets look good. And he worked with, I think the director worked with NASA to make everything look good or accurate, like a planet would look. But Star Wars, I mean, he like invented cameras, he invented techniques to film the battles. And they had, I'm like, before that, you had stuff like Buck Rogers in the 20s something century. And that just looked cheesy and corny. And then you had the Battlestar Galactica TV show in the 80s that was a ripoff of Star Wars that looked cheesy and corny. But no, Star Wars was a big step up as far as technical implementation of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so the King Kong and the what were the other two that you said you watched?
King Kong, Son of Kong and Mighty Joe Young.
So did you rent them or what? You said TV. You were a kid.
Yeah,
it was just like on TV.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was just a triple feature overnight. I don't know, it was like Turner Classic Movies or something. And I just happened to watch it. I was watching King Kong and I couldn't turn it off. And then I just watched the next two when they came on.
Nice.
Yeah, that was cool. That's your turn.
All right. Well,
for movies.
For movies?
Yeah.
Probably the first time a movie really got me was that impressed me was Boondock Saints. Mm-hmm. I was just a kid, probably like 18 or something, and kind of watched the normal run of the mill stuff. And I remember going to a Blockbuster, and Boondock Saints was just, I think there was like one or two copies of it sitting there. It was kind of like in the corner.
Yeah.
And the cover just kind of caught my eye, and we rented it. My brother and my buddy and I rented it, and we went home, and we were like, "Whoa, this kind of changed," because it was just different than anything we had ever watched, and it kind of got me excited about independent stuff a lot more than I'd ever been.
Yeah.
And going back farther, don't have a lot because my parents we didn't even have a TV until I was probably 15 or something. So watched some movies, but nothing too much. So Boondock Saints, that was a big one for me. And the original Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, I forget the cartoon, the animated ones.
Oh, okay.
I did watch those when I was a kid, and those were awesome. So
I agree. Those, well, I agree both. Boondock Saints is awesome too. You know, there's people who claim that movie sucks now.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's like
that movie's awesome.
I know, it's young it's I don't know. It's what I heard somebody talking to. I was like, I've never heard anybody say that before. I thought everybody liked it that saw it. I know it wasn't that popular.
I mean, just everything about it. It was. I don't know. I loved it, and you know, I'm not gonna say it's the greatest movie or anything, but it was one of those movies that kind of defined my taste in movies quite a bit after that.
Right. Let me interrupt for a second. I don't know if they're still here, but Decepticon King is in the chat, and K-Log is in the chat. K-Log is, you go back, boy. But yeah, we got to do some more stuff. And thank y'all for tuning in. Now back to that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? But since you mentioned independent movies, I actually had a separate. But this is my last little movie thing. For independent movies, I had a whole list. As far as films, '90s independent films. Period. Were a big influence, and it was just a unique time. It was similar, I guess, to the '70s, where you had like Hollywood blew up, and then everything then the studio system ended, and in the '60s and '70s it was like smaller movies, and people and cameras got smaller and cheaper, and then people started making their own movies, and then then in the '80s everything picked back up. You had the late '70s, you had stuff Star Wars and Jaws coming out, and then you had all the '80s were just huge big movies, and independent couldn't really compete. Nobody, like, if you had the choice to see what was that? I was thinking I don't know, what's that old independent film, like the Harold and you had a choice to see Harold and Maude and Star Wars on a Friday night.
You're watching Star Wars.
You're going to go see Star Wars. But but then in the '90s it kind of flattened out again, and then it's like and then technology improved more, and it became cheaper and easy to make films. And then I had a list somewhere of movie. A movie that was like Sex, Lies, and Videotape, Spanking the Monkey, which is a disgusting movie, but I loved it. I watched that movie all the time. It was about a dude who's home like for the summer with his mother who broke her foot, and he's just like, he's a college student. He's home for the summer and taking care of her while her foot's broken. And he has a little girlfriend, and something happens, and he ends up sleeping with his mother. And I was just like, and it just like blew my. I was like, somebody made this. It was just crazy. I couldn't believe it. But that's Making the Monkey. Welcome to the Dollhouse. Have you ever seen that one?
No, I haven't.
That's crazy too. That's about a little girl, and that's like has one of my favorite quotes in it. Where she has a club. She calls her Special People's Club. Where it's like she doesn't have any friends. She has like dolls and stuff in her little clubhouse she built. And one day this boy comes over. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it. It was out in the '90s, but I don't know why they're interacting. And she's like, oh, "Would you like to join my Special People's Club?" no, it's just saying. I was like, "Would you like to join my Special People's Club?" But his response was, "Your club is for retards." But it's just a meme. What I had Slums of Beverly Hills and Kids. Did you see the movie Kids?
I mean, you're listing off. I'm gonna have to make a list of these things because I haven't even watched any of them.
Oh yeah, I'll list them again. Yeah, you got Sex, Lies, and Videotape is a go-to, man. You gotta. That's '90s classic. James Spader. That is perverted best. Well, no, he made a different movie where he's a pervert. I think a few of them. But those are my movies. I mean, and then it went into the 2000s. Independent movies in the 2000s, they were just trying to like get jobs in Hollywood. It was like commercials for like resume spots, and then you had stuff like which was all right. Juno, you remember the movie Juno?
Yeah, that one wasn't too bad.
No, I liked it, but yeah, I mean that's not Spanking the Monkey. It's just a little pregnant girl. Yeah, that's nothing special. But no, yeah, it was just like it was I groundbreaking movies where they just did stuff just because they could, and there were no rules. In Hollywood, you just couldn't get away with that. But that's it for movies. Unless did you have any more movies?
No.
All right. Did you want to do what's up?
No, go ahead.
Did you have any TV, or did we skip TV?
I mean, I'd be interested to hear what you had as far as TV.
As far as TV influences, I have 2 dramas and I have 2 sitcoms because I don't really like sitcoms too much. But my dramas, Star Trek: Next Generation.
Okay.
I used to watch that. I guess it was in the '80s. I was watching the reruns though. I guess the show was still new, but the show was still new, but the reruns were coming on already because it ran for like 7 years or something. And I would watch the reruns after the 10 o'clock news, which since I was in elementary school was after my bedtime. So I had this little TV in my room that I would take off the dresser and I'd put it on the floor so that the light from the TV wouldn't go into the hallway and they wouldn't know I was watching TV. And I'd watch Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Nice.
So yeah, that was just incredible. And that was a good show. And I'm trying to force my daughter to watch it with me, but she liked like 1 or 2 episodes and lost interest. But that was a huge influence, and the X-Files was a big influence, just because of the darkness. It was like the darkness and the humor combined.
Mm-hmm.
It was, yeah, because they would talk about serious stuff, like gross stuff, and then they just always had the edge. Mulder was like the well, I guess Scully was the straight man, and Mulder was the goofier kind of. He believed in all that stuff. You were an X-Files fan?
Yeah, I did like watching X-Files.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good show.
Yeah. And what's up? Games, movies, and comics are us. That's hey. I prefer Mega Man Maniac McGee, but you do you, bro. And X-Files. Yeah, X-Files. It was a weird moment I had with X-Files because like I never watched X-Files. I would just watch X-Files by myself. And what's up? Eric and Boyd.
Hey.
And I just watched it by myself. One day I just happened to be watching it in the living room, and my mother decided to watch an episode with me, and it was the episode where they had it's like these. What's up with me and incest? It was like these incestuous hillbillies, and yeah, I don't know. These incestuous hillbillies who had like been inbred for years, who had like built up like these deformities. Some of them actually were like kind of superpowers because they couldn't feel pain and they were really strong, but they were also like really stupid and had like club feet and stuff. But yeah, and that episode was just so violent. Their mother slash, I guess, the
sister,
grandma, and wife. I don't know. It's like legless and tied up under a bed, and they just like take her out to have sex with her to get her pregnant. I don't think they showed that, but that's. I mean, she was the only woman there. But yeah, and then that episode was so ridiculous. It got pulled, and they never played it in reruns for like a decade.
Oh wow!
And that's the one episode my mother watched. I'm like, this show is never like this. And she was like, what in the world? What y'all be telling? But that's it, X-Files. And sitcoms, I'll go to The Simpsons. Early Simpsons. Oh, again, I had no business watching it. I was in elementary school when it started. When I watched it pretty early. Maybe, I don't think I started with the first season early on, but I remember watching like second, third, fourth seasons and all the reruns all the time. I would watch it every day, and I'd just be laughing hysterically, like, "Oh, Chucky's watching The Simpsons." Oh, they used to call me Chucky. Shh, don't tell anybody. He's watching The Simpsons, and I was like, eh. But no, that was just great. And I just like stuff like that where they didn't take anything seriously and they made fun of everything, and that I'd say that was a big influence on my humor too. Like, it just appealed to my humor at least, because it's just like, hey, everything's up for grabs. And Seinfeld.
Oh yeah,
don't sleep on Seinfeld. That's just like the dry wit. I just love the dry wit. Just everybody's an asshole. Everybody's only cares about themselves. They were just buttheads. I love that show though.
I was actually thinking about trying to find the box set of that so I could watch it with the kid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
See if it held up. I think it does.
I'm sure the humor would. I mean, the outfits. I don't know. They look funny, but yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if you get it like it. It's a very 90s show.
He takes after my humor, so.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right, and I'll move on to music. You have any music?
So some of my earliest music was just a bunch of Rolling Stones, Beatles, The Animals. I mean, all kinds of kind of the 60s music.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird because I grew up in the 80s, but I dislike 80s music, and I always listened to Rolling Stones and the Doors, all those 70s bands. There's so many good ones. And then as I got older, I kind of, even though they're kind of sellouts, I liked Rage Against the Machine quite a bit.
Yeah. They sound good. That's what I go by. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but I still really appreciate all that the older music.
Right. Yeah, that's the best stuff. That's I always say from what I don't know. That's the same for movies too. The mid to the late to mid '70s was like the best time for music and also movies.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems like. But I'll do movies. I'm gonna put myself out there, right? Well, I was a kid. I'm gonna say the first album I bought was the soundtrack to The Lion King.
Oh, nice.
I know, right? So I've liked Elton John for a long time, but I mean, I don't know. I love that, and the next album I've taken my first two albums. I got The Lion King and Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Nice.
So growing up, Michael Jackson was huge, and he was huge everywhere. I grew up. I was born in the '80s. That was like that Michael Jackson was everywhere in the '80s and the early '90s. But man, we used to have like Michael Jackson Day. We would like watch his concert and listen to all his albums, me and my sisters. So that was fun. But yeah, I mean, those are the big ones. Then I got like you, I didn't like '80s music. I grew up in the '80s. I didn't really listen to it. My sisters and parents listened to music around me. I didn't really pay attention to it. And then until the '90s, I started listening to hip hop a little bit. I know you don't like hip hop, but my first, I always thought I went from The Lion King and Michael Jackson to this band. And it was a couple years in between to this band called Crucial Conflict. And I think that was like the third album I bought. I don't know why it was such a gap, but or maybe it was older than I thought. I'm remembering. And they were like this Midwestern hip hop band, and their big hit was called "Hey," well, "Hey" in the middle of the bond. It was about smoking weed. So I just those are three interesting, album choices. But yeah, and then everyone. Oh, speaking of music, DMX died, man. You heard about that?
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, well, I was a bummer. I know you don't care. So I was a little bummed. I normally don't care about celebrities, but I've been listening to him since I was in high school. And I was like, oh, that sucks. But I was kind of bummed because he was a drug addict his whole life. I was like, you should have got that shit together. But it's still sad when people die. And the Beatles, you mentioned the Beatles. The Beatles, that's my favorite band. And I didn't even know it. My little baby cousin, introduced me to the Beatles one time. I used to hang out with them in the summer. And we were in that van, and their mother went into the store, and they just put on the Beatles CD, the Blue album, I think it was. It was a compilation.
Mm-hmm.
And just playing Frank. And I always heard the Beatles songs. It was like, "Oh, blood, oh, blood, and like, "She Loves You," yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, it's a fucking Beatles, who cares? And then "I Am the Walrus" came on. And I was like, wait a minute. What's that? And it was just sounded nothing like anything I'd heard before. And I said, hey, play that one again. And then she played it again. And I was like, and then from that moment on, I loved the Beatles. I just started buying all the albums. And yeah, they're cool. Once you get past even that pop was good pop. It was good pop music. But once you get into the later stuff, it's just great music, period. Mm-hmm. But yeah, do you have a favorite Beatles album?
I mean, I used to listen to the Beatles all the time, and honestly, at some point, I kind of leaned more into the Rolling Stones, and
Stones guy.
And I don't know.
Yeah,
cool. And probably my favorite band from back then was the Animals. That Eric Burdon in his voice, he just has. I love that. It's all bluesy.
Great. Yeah, he's great. He got power, man. He's got power. And all right, well, I know you're a reader. Did you come up with books?
Oh yeah,
or comics, books or comics. I'll let you go first.
So as far as comics, I didn't really get into comics until I was, I don't know, probably 17, 18. But I do remember when I was probably.
Look at the chat.
Yep, that's me. That's me, Eric. How's it going? I remember when I was like 6 or 7 going into a library in the little town we lived in, and they had Jonah Hex. And I didn't even know who that was, but it kind of stuck with me, that whole thing he had with his lip.
Oh yeah.
And so I looked that up later, and I was like, oh wow, that was kind of cool, because I used to sit in the library and read those. But I think when I was 16 or 17, a guy introduced me to Good to see you too, man. Witchblade and the Darkness, and I don't know. I really got into those for a long time and liked the stories, and the artwork was pretty cool when they first came out. I think it started to degrade after a while, but
okay.
And then as far as books, Lord of the Rings. I mean, I love that,
right.
And Chronicles of Narnia. And
so, did you read the books before you saw the cartoons, or which one did you see first?
Yeah, I read the book. I probably read the books when I was like 10.
Oh wow! I would not have got through this. I never finished. I bailed out on Return of the King. I got all the way to Return of the King, and I was like, I can't do this shit. I saw him after I saw the Peter Jackson movies in the early 2000s.
Yeah, so I mean, since I was a kid, I mean, I can power through books, and so I Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, the Wizard of Oz series. I love those. There's so many of those Wizard of Oz books because you kind of only think about the first one, but he had, I think there's like 15, 20 other books that he wrote in that universe, and they're pretty cool. And then I also like, when I was a kid, I read Agatha Christie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I still.
She's the murder mystery lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
She wrote murder mysteries back, I don't know, in the early 1900s, I think.
Okay.
Or maybe the mid.
Adapted all of her novels, like Lifetime movies and shit.
Yeah. I probably read like every one of hers, and Sherlock Holmes. I mean, if any media really influenced me, it was reading when I was a kid, because I powered through books constantly. But I mean, so those are some of mine from when I was a kid, anyway.
Right. So yeah, I'd say for me, I not so much a book as much as an author, and Stephen King. I don't know. I first read Stephen King when I was in middle school, or maybe high school, and never stopped. I'd just say he's my favorite because I've read so many of his books. It's just like I've read like 50 Stephen King novels, and I'm rereading. That's too far away. I'm rereading the Doc Tower series now, which is pretty awesome. And but yeah, I'm reading it and The Stand. I think I read those books back to back. To this day, two of the biggest books I've ever read. Both of them over 1,000 pages.
Wow.
I read them when I was 14. so I was like, I like Stephen King. But Stephen King.
But you bailed on Return of the King?
Yeah, I couldn't. It's just too dry for me. It's too dry. I might try it again. I have them in a basement or somewhere, but yeah, I couldn't do it. And I'd say two books specifically. I don't want to get too perfect. Black Boy by Richard Wright and 1984 by George Orwell. And 1984, which is weird. I mean, because now anytime I think about it, I reread it a few years ago, and I was like, wow, how fitting. But the first time I read it, it was when a little bit after 2001, after September 11th.
Mm-hmm.
It was after they had kicked in all the Patriot Act, and they were taking all our rights away for back then, just like they're doing now. But and I was just like, holy crap, this is so appropriate. And then like reading, you think it's like everybody thinks it's like some science. 1984 is not a science fiction book. 1984 is satire, and he was writing it about socialism in the 1940s. Mm-hmm. And the first book was called 1944. And he's like, I mean, he didn't think people would buy it because it's so far-fetched. But like, even though that's what was actually happening, just I guess exaggerated or like told in a way, told it was a story. He made a fictional world to represent what he was seeing and to highlight all the negatives. And so I was like, and once you learn that and you see now where the world is, and it's just like, whoa, in 1984 just opened my eyes to a lot as far as the world, just how the world works and has always worked and will always work. and it just, as far as, I don't know, just what you could do with the story, how you could just, he tore socialism apart, man. And that was, it should be torn apart. And Black Boy again, he was Richard Wright. It's basically his autobiography, and he was just a black guy who grew up in America. And I don't know, he wrote the book. I guess he wrote the book in the 50s, so he grew up. He's a kid in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
But and he just talks about life in America in the past, and he talks about again socialism comes into play. He talks about how the socialists were friends with the blacks to get the number, just like today, we're friends with black people to get the numbers to support them, but they didn't care about black people. They're like, we just need members.
Yeah.
And then so I mean, and I was just like, wow. And then, but that's just how people are. It's not specific to socialism. It just it's just, I like books that show how people work. And those two books, well, it did that. And do you read Warren Ellis? You like comics, right?
I have not read any of them.
Oh my, you gotta read Warren Ellis, but I hate him now because he got Me Too'd and he backed down like a bitch. What'd you say?
Well, I wrote it down, but what did he what kind of comics?
He wrote and Warren Ellis and Neil Gaiman. I don't think I mentioned Neil Gaiman, but Neil Gaiman, he wrote Sandman, is his most famous. But I'm gonna have to backtrack now to tell my whole story. I love telling this story.
All right.
But I'll put the wrong. Let's take the banners out. That's not even right. Oh yeah, it is. But okay, the Sandman. I was reading Neil Gaiman. I read. Oh, here it is. I got a grab bag, like a loot by random box from like a fantasy novel book club, and two Neil Gaiman books from it. Smoke and Mirrors was one, and Smoke and Mirrors, and the one Neverwhere.
Oh, okay, Neverwhere. That was a good one.
Yeah, I liked it. And I read that one first, and I was like, wow, I liked it. And then I read the Smoke and Mirrors, which is a book of short stories. And that was incredible. That was, I mean, there's a couple stories in there I love. I like some of my favorite stories. And then I just started looking for more of his stuff. And then I found, Good Omens, which I didn't like. He wrote with Terry Pratchett.
I love that book.
Yeah, I didn't like the humor. But what do you like about it? Why do you like it?
Well, I should have mentioned Terry Pratchett, but Terry Pratchett, like the Discworld series, I have like every one of those, and I probably read every one of them like 4 or 5 times. But I do like the humor that he brings to his stories, and that in his collaboration with Neil Gaiman. I just like that. I never watched the show, but the book, I love the book.
Yeah.
But cool. But the humor is a bit different.
Yeah, the humor. I just wasn't expecting it in a Neil Gaiman, but I guess if I reread it now, I might like it. And then I couldn't find stuff. I think then it was like I'm sure he wrote a bunch of other stuff. I just couldn't find it in the stores I went to, and but the Sandman kept popping up, and I never would find it. And I was like, well, I can't find the Sandman anywhere. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's a comic book. And I was like, where do you find comic books? I haven't been to a comic book store since the 90s at that point. And so I went to a comic book store, and I was like, hey, I have Sandman. And I got the first trade. I was like, it was like $14. I'm like, $14 for a comic book? Are you serious? And I got it. And on my way out, I was like, I don't know, it's just about one thing. So I looked at the wall of new comics. And I saw a bunch of superheroes that looked familiar, but the comic book Fell by Warren Ellis stood out. I don't even know why. It just had an interesting cut. I can run and go get it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
But yeah, it just had an interesting. I think this is the first cover, if I can get it. It was just like nothing special, but it stood out, and I like the art. And so I picked up.
That is cool.
Got it signed by Ben Templesmith. There you go.
Huh.
Nice. Yeah, Ben Templesmith's the artist, and he was. And I read those first 2 issues and fell in love. They were incredible. It's just like a crime story. Detective Richard Fell. He goes to the Snowtown, which is demotion because he's like a crappy detective. He gets into the bad town, and it's just about him living in this weird place. And I'm still waiting for issue number 10 that never came out. No, that was in Fell. That's what Warren Ellis wrote. Fell. He wrote what he's biggest known for is Transmetropolitan. And I've heard a lot of people say they had a hard time getting into Transmet, and I did too. So if you do read Transmetropolitan, make sure you read it through issue number 8.
Okay.
And then if you don't like it, still. But issue number 8 that's my personal favorite issue, and I think it seems to be like a lot of people's like favorite issue.
Nice.
So that's this big one. Planetary, Warren Ellis. That's I can't even describe that one, but you should read that too. And but yeah, I don't like him anymore because he got Me Too'd. He said some women said he asked women on dates. They got mad at him, and now he's not writing anymore.
Oh wow.
I don't know. That's as far as I could tell. That's the story. I couldn't get any detail. It didn't seem like he did anything too inappropriate. But you don't have to anymore. But yeah, I don't think I had anything else as far as books.
So you're a big Batman fan, and I forget the
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
Yeah.
When did that come into?
Moon Knight is just random. Batman. I always say Batman is everybody's favorite superhero. I don't care what you say. If you ask somebody what their favorite superhero is and they don't say Batman, they're lying. Batman's everybody's favorite superhero. But Moon Knight is I guess my second favorite superhero, and I just found him randomly because I just got because after I went to the comic book store, I just started going randomly to get the next issues of Fell and picking up stuff, and then man, comics are like crack. I was in there every week, like within a month, and I had a full list and all that stuff. And I was just looking at what's coming out, and I saw Moon Knight, and I was like, it was a number 1. So I was like, hey, so there's no back stuff. It's the first issue of a new series, so it should be I should be able to get in. And then I read it, and it was Charlie Houston. He's actually a novelist, and the artist was David Finch. I have my Moon Knight long box right over here. I collect, and I don't feel like digging them up. I have like every issue of every Moon Knight series except for the last, I guess, 2 because I can't go to the comic store because comics suck now. But no, Moon Knight. And then after I read that series, I liked him, and I was like, I wanted to collect old comics, and I was like, so I like this Moon Knight guy. Let me get his old stuff. And when I was looking at his old stuff, like all his back issues were like $1. So I was like, oh, that's easy. And so I started picking up all his back issues, and the stories were awesome. Art was awesome, and he became my favorite character from there.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I never got into the Image. How'd you? Was the Image mostly what you read?
I just mainly Darkness and Witchblade, and then a little bit of there was a run of Medieval Spawn, I think, that I got into.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it. I never really did the Image.
And it was just because a guy I worked with, he turned me on to it, and I'd never even touched comics before, and so I just kind of got into that and ran away with it. And then for a while, and I haven't really got into comics now. I like the idea. I have gotten some of the independent Indiegogo stuff, and I'm kind of.
Did you get Lily and Weppawet?
No, I did not get that one.
That's what Tonic Mole. Do you know the Tonic Mole on Twitter?
Yeah.
He's cool. That's it. I haven't read it yet. I got Saving the World 1 through 3, and I've read those. Those are good.
Nice.
I'm gonna do a YouTube video on that, not a stream. But I have a few. I got a couple. Who else did you get from?
I got so far. I just got Doug Garrett's Lone Wolf and Mike and Selena's what was it called? The Dinosaurs and Samurai. That's what it was.
I don't know that one. But I got the Lone Wolf too. The story was cool. I thought it should have been a little more meaty. I didn't. I think you should get another artist for the next book. Don't tell anyone. But no, I liked it. I'll get the second issue if he produces a second one.
You got the drama going now.
Drama. It's the drama stream. But yeah. So, did you want to talk about comics or books anymore? Because then we can move on to the next topic. Or if you're done, if you want to bail, you can bail.
We can keep talking. Whatever you want to talk about. So
we did have the one more topic was the what's good new. There we go. Because everybody complains about everything. We all know the movies suck. All big Hollywood movies suck, so we don't have to talk about that. What's something good you saw recently? And when I say I'm not going to put any pressure because recently, when I was thinking about this, I couldn't come up with anything. So I said recently is within the past 2 years.
Today I actually watched the first episode of that Invincible that's on Prime. It's an animated superhero type thing. Wasn't really, it kind of caught my eye, but I was up in the air on it. And then I was watching Good Job Rob stream, and he was talking about it, talking it up. So I watched the first episode today, and I don't know where it goes from here, but that first episode was wow.
Yeah.
It caught me.
All right. So you're going to stick with it?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with it, see where it goes.
Yeah, I watched the first one too. I didn't get past it either, but the end, it got crazy.
I know. It was, you're just chilling. It's kind of like almost like an old Teen Titans episode or something, and then all of a sudden you're like, "What the hell just happened?"
I know. That's what I was going in expecting all the violence because I'd heard about the book. Everybody said it's like, it's just like a superhero book, but just like extra violent. So when I was watching the show, I was like, "Where's the violence?" And then by the time it came, I had given up on it. And I was like, "Yes." But no, I love that stuff. I think I'm going to watch more of it.
I think I'll probably watch the rest of it and just see where it goes.
All right, cool. What did I have? Oh, did you watch Primal on Cartoon Network? Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal, and I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to, if I can show this trailer, that would be so awesome.
I haven't. I don't even. I love him, but I have not watched that.
Okay.
Because he did Samurai Jack and the Powerpuff Girls, right?
Yeah, he did Samurai Jack and the Powerpuff Girls. He did the Hotel Transylvania movies too.
Yeah.
Which were okay, but Samurai Jack I loved.
I mean, I'll just confess, I love the Powerpuff Girls too. So.
Are you gonna watch the new Powerpuff Girls?
No, not that garbage. The old stuff.
Right. I don't know anything about that. Yeah, but I hear people complaining about that already. It's like,
if people like it, that's fine. I just, I like the old cartoon.
All right. Let me see. No. Sorry. I'm gonna give me whatever. Well, I'll figure out all the other stuff on another stream one day. But Primal is about a caveman and a dinosaur hanging out in prehistoric times. There's no dialogue because the caveman can't talk.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they're just going around killing stuff and trying to survive. So that's an awesome show. But Primal, and that's a cartoon. Yeah, it seems like cartoons the way it's at. And as far as sitcoms, I think this year might have been the last year. Superstore. Have you heard of Superstore?
That sounds familiar. I don't think I've watched it though.
Yeah, it's basically a sitcom about Walmart. It's like the employees at Walmart, and it's just funny. I mean, and like I said, I'm not a huge sitcom fan. This is something you absolutely just sit down and turn your brain off and watch it. This isn't anything serious at all. It's like stupid humor. These people are idiots, and the jokes are funny.
Nice.
And now it's done, so you can watch the whole series. And it might have come on NBC, so I think the Peacock app still has a free version. So I think you can watch the whole series.
Nice.
Did you have anything else?
There was another sitcom I watched. There was 2 seasons of it on Amazon, and they look like they could be doing another season. But that Louder Milk, it was a show about some guy that runs a drug and alcohol group, and the humor in it's pretty brutal. I think it's the Something About Mary guy that wrote it. He wrote the sitcom, and it has 2 seasons. It came out in 2018. It was pretty good.
Cool.
The humor in it was right up my alley. It was kind of sick, demented, rude, but good stuff.
What's it called?
Louder Milk.
Louder Milk. I don't even know if I've heard of that one, but it's on Amazon.
Yes.
All right, I'll check that out. Okay. And this, I don't know. I don't think I've never heard of anybody else who liked this, but this comes from me just liking weird stuff. Color Out of Space is an adaptation of a H.P. Lovecraft story. I can't remember who the director or writer is. That doesn't matter because Nicolas Cage is in it.
What is it?
Color Out of Space. Yeah, and that one I saw on Shudder, the streaming app. I got every October I watch ridiculous amount of horror movies, so I got the Shudder streaming service for the month of October, and it had The Color Out of Space on there with Nicolas Cage. It was new, and wow, it is not a faithful adaptation of that story at all, and like the details of what happens in the story, but in the tone, it captures the tone so well as far as have you ever read H.P. Lovecraft?
Oh yeah, I love H.P. Lovecraft.
It just can't. It's just. I mean, it just you feel like you're going insane with these people. it's good, and Nicolas Cage plays crazy great. So yeah, they're basically on a farm of Meteor Lands. Well, I don't know if it's I guess it's a farm. Meteor Lands in the back, and of course it's like some eldritch horror from another world. And so it just drives them crazy, and there's like weird stuff starts happening. They start losing their minds, and yeah. But that was an awesome one. That's like the last I dare I say great movie I saw.
I'm checking that one out.
Right,
I mean, you recommended it, and it has Nicolas Cage. I mean,
exactly right. I got one more movie, and then I guess we can wrap up. But I got The Little Things, a new movie with Denzel Washington and Jared Leto.
Okay.
And I didn't like the ending, but the ride was so good. It just was like a total 90s thriller. It felt like Seven or Silence of the Lambs or something, or 8mm or something like that. It's
awesome.
Dark. I know it's just like a psycho. It's a cat and mouse game between a detective and a killer. Jared Leto's the killer. Denzel Washington's a detective. He plays a good old, a tired old man. Like, I'm getting too old for this shit. And Jared Leto plays crazy good. So
he does.
Yeah, so that was good. That's I just didn't like the end. It kind of went down the route of cops are bad. But if you can get past that, like that, well, I guess in this one it's more like cops do bad things to justify doing bad things to do away with bad people, I guess. But I mean, the good guys have to be good guys. In your movies, there were ultimately no good guys in it, which isn't a bad thing. But I don't know if that's. Just it bothered me because of the climate of the environment we're in.
I get you.
Yeah, the story was great, and just there's one scene with Jared Leto and Denzel Washington when they're in the interrogation room. And it's just tense. It's just good. It's just good acting, and just guys chewing up the scenery. Well, yeah, that's it. Did you have anything else?
No, I mean I can think of hundreds of things, but I'm good. As far.
Yeah, but no, I was going to say it was fun. I think we're going to wrap it up.
It was a blast.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do it again. Maybe I don't even know how I'll do it again, but yeah, we'll keep it up. I'll sign us out of here. I don't have to sign off. I don't have any outros, but peace.
See you, man. Thank you.
Uh-huh.